Look at this table, one row per customer or one row per order. If you couldn't tell at first glance, this video is for you. Courses teach you to query data, they do not teach you how to read it. I consulted banks and large companies in Australia. These are 10 concepts pros use daily that beginners courses skip. Before you write a single query, ask one question. What does a row in this table actually mean? Every table has a grain. One row per customer, one row per transaction, one row per day, per product. It is the single most common reason a correct query produces a wrong number. This is dangerous because your query runs fine, there are no errors, however, the number can be quietly, confidently wrong. If you're not sure about the grain of a specific table, here is what I do. I run select star from that table, limit 50 or 100. Then I pick a specific customer ID or a couple of them, and I rerun the same select star query filtered to where customer equals that customer. This is simple exercise helps me visually understand what I'm working with. Is it a daily breakdown? Does this column change row to row, or is it the same value repeated? Is it a roll-up column sitting on top of a lower grain? Null doesn't mean zero, it means unknown. Not zero, not blank, unknown. And sum and count both skip it entirely. So if your revenue column has nulls instead of zeros, your total isn't slightly off. It is excluding real rows from the calculation. And here is a quick way to catch it. You can run count star and count a revenue column or that specific column you're working with on the same table. If the two numbers don't match, you got nulls sitting in that column, and every sum you have run on it so far has been quietly ignoring them. It matters most in the columns you would least expect to check, because they look fine, query runs, report runs, charts being created, no obvious errors. The number is just smaller than it should be. Row number, rank, lag, lead, they let you calculate across rows, rank things compared to the previous row without collapsing your data down into a group by. I would say that window functions can be very confusing at the beginning because of these partition bys and empty parentheses and more brackets, but once it clicks, I promise you, you will use it all the time. While you're learning what you can do, you can run different partition by combinations on your data. For example, you can do it by customer, then by customer and by date together. For me, it was again that visual exercise as checking the grain. It helped me to see that partitioning is a granularity you choose, and you can see how the results change when you change those parameters, add more granular things, and change if you're ordering by descending or ascending order or which column you are sorting the data. You can use window functions for running totals, month-over-month comparison. You can select top 3 per category, anything where you need to compare a row to its neighbors without losing any rows in the process. The database your app writes to is built for one thing: fast individual inserts and updates. That is OLTP. The database built for reading millions of rows to answer "How did we do last month?" is a completely different beast, and that's OLAP. This is why every company you will ever work for has a whole pipeline just to move data from one place to another. If you're running a report or an aggregate query, I mean group by, and everything, slow down. I suggest you double-check with some of your tech colleagues if you're even in the right database. Because it might not be the query that is the problem, it might be that you're asking an OLTP system a question only an OLAP warehouse is built to answer. Cardinality is how tables relate to each other. One customer to many orders, one product to many sales lines. You might have heard about one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationship. In my opinion, when you're working with Power BI or SQL and you are creating relationships between data sources, this is where you can visually understand what this one-to-one or one-to-many relationship mean. If you join two tables without knowing which way the relationship goes and you don't get an error, you get row duplicates. Here is a simple check before you trust any join. Run count star on your base table on its own, then run it again after the join. If the joint count comes back bigger than the original, you've got a one-to-many relationship multiplying your rows. An average calculated after that join is inflated, even though nothing in the query looks obviously wrong. Overall, I believe that doing this count star check when you're performing joins is important, sort of best practice, so you can double check your work and understand if you left someone out or duplicated something and when it happened and why it happened. Quick pause. If you are building data skills from scratch and want practical resources, not just more course notes, I put together a free hub with cheat sheets and tools I use in my own work. Link is in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Grab it and come back for the next 5. Your A/B test shows a 15% uplift in conversions. Is it real? Statistical significance tests whether a result happened by chance or reflects a real effect. Without it, you are making business decisions based on noise. The number alone never tells the whole story. Before you present any lift or drop, ask for the sample size and the p-value, or run the numbers through a free significance calculator. It takes you only 2 minutes. A 15% lift on 40 users and 15% lift on 40,000 users are not the same, even though the headline numbers look identical. In my previous job, my boss used to always ask me what is the baseline to get the feel if 15% is a lot or not. Significance tell you whether the lift is real or just a noise, while baseline tells you whether it is actually a big deal. How do the people who joined in January behave by month 6 compared to the people who joined the January last year? This is the basics of every retention curve, LTV model, and every churn report. In telco, this is how we tell whether the customers who joined on a specific promotion stick around once the offer ends, or they vanish the day it does. The simplest way to start is with 2 columns, join date and last activity date. Bucket people by the month they joined, then check how many from each group are still active at month 1, month 3, month 6, align those groups side by side, and you've built your first cohort table. Revenue went up by 20% the same month you launched the campaign. That doesn't mean that campaign caused the increase. Correlation is 2 things moving together, while causation is 1 thing driving the other. Before you credit the campaign, check what else happened that month. Was there a seasonal spike, a price change, a competitor pulling out? Look at the trend before the campaign launched. If revenue was already climbing, the campaign didn't start anything, it just happened to land on top of that. Before you present anything, ask when the data was last refreshed. Most analytics databases update once a day, but sometimes there is a lag, a backlog in the pipeline, and the refresh you're expecting just hasn't happened yet. A quick way to check, you can run max date on your table to see the actual latest date available. Most warehouses also have a last updated or last refreshed field somewhere. Find it and check it before you do your analysis. Your app database is not your reporting database, and your reporting database is not automatically what your team uses as a source for the dashboard. A data lake holds raw everything, structure it or not, exactly as it landed. It can be an image, a video, text file, a data record. A data warehouse is the cleaned model version built for business users to actually query. A data mart is a slice of that warehouse handed to one team. So finance sees finance tables and marketing sees marketing tables and has no access to salary tables that should be visible for finance team. If you want to go deep on window functions, I made a full video walking through row number, rank, lag, and lead with real examples. If you have ever written a long subquery just to rank rows, this is the one that fixes that. These are 10 most confusing data concepts. None of them are in a typical SQL or Python beginner course. All of them come up in a real data job, often in the first months. Which one surprised you the most? Leave it in the comments because I read all of them. And if this is the kind of content you need, subscribe. Every video covers what courses leave out.